Gressenhall Workhouse was built in 1777 to provide work, food and shelter for local poor people. It was overseen by a group of local wealthy people, known as the Guardians, who had a duty of care to the children in the workhouse.
It is expedient to provide the means of placing out poor children in the house in service or apprenticeship to enable them to obtain an honest livelihood and become useful members of society. By 1839, almost 50% of workhouse inmates were children, and most of these were orphans or deserted. By 1909, half of workhouse children had no parent or close relatives. Guardians tried their best to provide education, training and employment for the children when they reached their teens.
The Guardians met each month to discuss their activities. They recorded their meetings in a minute book. They also kept records of payments, punishments and letters. These all combined to tell stories of the individuals living in the workhouse.
Caroline Bullard was a 16-year-old girl living in Gressenhall Workhouse when she was permitted to go into the service of Mrs. Alfred Hobson at Turning for a month. Caroline was kept at Turning for 10 weeks. Reportedly, she had been very ill-treated during this time. She returned to Gressenhall Workhouse. Upon returning, Caroline was filthy with dirty and ragged clothes. The clerk found out more information from Caroline and he wrote to Mrs. Hobson. Mrs. Hobson responded to Gressenhall Workhouse and paid a sum of 10 shillings for the services Caroline had performed. This money was given to the workhouse to be used for Caroline's clothing or for when she left the workhouse again.
The minute book shows that disabled children often came to the workhouse if their parents couldn't look after them.
Gertrude Elliott was a young blind girl who lived at Gressenhall Workhouse. Disabled children like Gertrude were not usually taught with the other able-bodied children. Blind children were sometimes taught Mohn type or Braille.
It was concluded, following a medical report, that Gertrude Elliott would not benefit in a different institution and that she should remain at Gressenhall.
It's unknown what happened to Gertrude, but she most likely remained in the workhouse. Many disabled children live their entire lives out in workhouses.
The pages of the minute book sometimes reveal more unusual happy endings for the children at Gressenhall Workhouse.
William Pye was an orphan child who arrived at the workhouse at the age of about 9 years old. William would have been given a good education, clean clothing and food. He was invited to live with his uncle in America, and Gressenhall arranged William's travel there by ship. He became a bookkeeper. He wrote a letter to Gressenhall Workhouse from America, expressing his gratitude for their kindness and care.
Although not all workhouse children lived happily ever after, the minute book shows that the Guardians tried their best to give them a good start in life, so they could indeed become useful members of society.